Okay, as promised, I'm going to put together this contours exercise for you on video. And to start with, I'm going to open up my ANSI. I'm just going to delete this one. That should work. Open up the TB letter ANSI drawing file from my templates directory. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change the layout of this page. Right now it's in landscape. We need to change it to portrait. So I'm going to right click on this tab down at the bottom. It says layout 1. Hit page setup manager. We're going to say modify. And all we're going to do here is just change it from landscape to portrait. And hit close. Now if we take this entire object and select it, just drag through the whole thing with your left mouse button down, we're going to explode it. We don't really need this outside border anymore, so we're just going to take this piece, we're going to select it all, use our move tool, and move it right to the inside of this corner. Now we're going to select this line, now that it is exploded. Bring that just to the inside of this hidden line. Grab this one, bring that just to the inside of this hidden line. And then we're just going to do a trim. You can just type TR, enter, and then hit enter again. If I hold down my shift key, I can extend lines to the intersection. Let go of the shift key. We can click them off and trim this out in this direction. So now what we want to do is select this entire piece. Oops, I got to hit escape here. Select the entire thing so we see the handles and say create. We're going to call this one TB letter LTR ANSI portrait. And we'll say OK. And hit OK again. It gives us our edit attributes objects. So now when I click on this, it actually brings it up. But it's actually a cell. If I wanted to insert this, I would just say OK. Oops, yeah, the right one. Computer decides to lock up on me. But anyway, we have this for future use. I'm not sure why it's deciding to be bad. Just try hitting escape. There we go. Bugs me when it won't work. There it is. So if I wanted to put this out, I could actually have two title blocks here, but I don't really need that, so I'll delete it. So we have title block ANSI DWG kind of set up here. We'll do a file, save as, and we'll call it title block letter ANSI portrait. Hit save. Now what I'd like you to do is we'll do a file, close, and we'll do a file, new. And this one, we'll just use this ACAD. If it doesn't show up on your screen, make sure it says DWT down here for your drawing template. And if we look at this tab down here and just right click on it, there's an option to say from template. And I'm just doing this because it makes it easier for everybody to have the same information. And then we'll find our template drawing right here, hit open. Layout 1 is what we want, and just hit OK. So if I click layout 1, there's my title block. So we're actually importing that title block from another drawing. I'm going to rename this and call it Portrait TB. We're going to delete this one, and we'll delete this one. And now we just have our portrait. Now, we can go ahead and put in a viewport by going to the Layout tab, selecting Polygonal, and we'll just click to the corners. When I get to this last one, just hit C and enter. That will close it. Over here in the bottom, you see where it says paper. If I click on that, it changes it to model. I can turn off that grid pattern and then just click it back into paper. So now we have our viewport. Let's go to our model now, and what we're doing is importing. I had you download the file from Blackboard. It was a script file. I don't remember what the name of it is now. We'll find it here in a second. I won't go in. I'll just download it to a file where you know where you can find it. What we're going to do now is go to our home page, and we're going to select layer, or you can just type in layer. We're going to create 3 new layers in our drawing file. New layer 1 will be called data, and we don't worry about the color. New layer 2 will be called contours, and that one will be in green, color 3. And then finally we have a new layer called labels, and that one will be in yellow. And then we want to make data our current layer, so just double click on it, puts the check mark in front of it, also shows up here. So what we're going to do now is just type in the command script, S-C-R-I-P-T. You can see from this download I've put it in my desktop, CIE 101C, scripts. I made a folder there, and I just downloaded this file, contour_scripts. All you need to do is click on it and hit open. Now what that will do is populate this with points from a survey, and these points are color coded with elevations on them. So we'll start out with the one on the bottom. Yours should look just like this with all of the colors on here. So if we start at the bottom, oh, I screwed up, missed a step here. I'm going to delete this all. Pardon me. Delete it. We need to actually do some setup to make it work for us. So we're going to go over here on our home tab to utilities, select point style, and we want to set that up to a circle. We're going to put our point size to 0.5, and we want to set size in absolute units, and then say OK. The next thing we want to do is type in the command osnap and make sure that this node is checked off. That node identifies the center of the points. Now we'll do a script. Double click and hit open. Oops. That one didn't work right. Hit the circles. Alright. Just go check my working units here. Decimal. Let's try engineering. See if that makes a difference. So it's in feet. Don't know what would have changed it, but now we'll type script. Still doesn't have the right points on here. It's like it's missing something. I'm going to close this just for a second. New. Sometimes it gets confused, I think, if I do it too many times. So I'm going to go ahead and set my utilities just like I did before. And O-snap, make sure my node is on. And now we'll do script. Contour open. That looks better. Now I just have to go back and reattach my template file. Oops, I'll delete it, I'll rename it. Good practice, I guess. Put our polygonal and turn off the grid. Set my scale to 1 to 8. Okay. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think I got it back to where it should be. So if you run into that problem, just start a new drawing. And what we have now are these circles, so I know where my points are located on the system. I did forget to reestablish my layers, so I have to redo that again. Data, contour, and labels. Make data active. Now, when I brought these in now, of course they're not in the right layer, so I just select everything on the screen. You notice it went to layer 0. All I need to do is change this to contour, and everything will get moved over there. So now everything is in data. Alright, now we can start working. I want to change to my contour level. And I want that contour to be green. Make sure that my label level is yellow. Contour, we want this to be by layer. Good. Now we're just going to use polylines. Polylines are line segments that are all connected together, either to make a shape or continuous line. With O-snap on, you'll notice I just need to select near the edge of the circle and it will automatically find that point. So I'm just going to left click, left click, left click, left click, hit enter. If I hit enter again, I can start a new line. Left click, left click. You don't have to try to get to the center. Just when you see that green circle with an X in it, just left click. Whoops, not like that, and that. There are some, if you look in your textbook on page 414, you can see the diagram of how these lines come together. So start new, whoops, new polyline here. Make sure that we don't miss any. This is just kind of, I won't call it brainless work, but it's, you can zoom out. If you zoom out, you can still see the X on there, so it makes it easy for you to identify when you're right on the center of that point. So if you had a total station, it might give you a file like this, which is nothing more than XY coordinates with elevation numbers on it. Unfortunately, they color-coded these, so it's easy for us to identify, for the most part, what lines we're looking for. They'll connect the dots. They say everything you learned in life, you learned in kindergarten, so that's probably true, especially in this case. I was never very good at connecting the dots, but Now as you're getting through this, what you can do is if you select this line and right click with your mouse, go up to Polyline and say Curve Fit. What that does is it curves that line so it finds the emulation between it. Oops. Right click. Polyline Curve Fit. There we go. I don't know if we can do multiples. I think after you do one, somebody said we could do this. Polyline Curve Fit. If I hit multiple and then select these lines, I think they did spline, which isn't really the right one to use, so I think it's probably better just to right click, go to Polyline, select Curve Fit. Doesn't take that much longer. Oops, make sure I select it first. Okay, so you get these nice contours. I'll continue now with my polylines. Make sure I don't miss any. Rule of thumb is contour lines cannot cross. You can't have one elevation crossing another. Each of these represents a separate elevation on the drawing. Taking a slice right through the ground. I'll go backwards on this one. Get myself in trouble. You can see I don't want to be on the outside. I need to stay on the inside of this one. Otherwise my colors would cross because this one is a separate line string. So now this one here is gets a little trickier here. I have to actually look inside the book, so I want to always stay on the outside. This one loops back. You can't stop in the middle. It actually has to end up out here on the edge somewhere, unless it's a complete shape. In other words, it could be a cross section through an entire hill. We'll see that in a second. Whoops, missed one. Just keep hitting enter so you don't have to keep going back and selecting the command again. If you just hit enter, it remembers your last command and just starts it over again. Start over on this side. You get in the habit of just moving to the edge of the circle. It makes it snap easier. Oops. I think this is actually in meters, but for this exercise it doesn't really matter. You get the point. These two colors are very similar, so this one makes it a little difficult. Make sure you're not hitting 1010. Make sure it's just 1005. Shoot. There we go. You might ask yourself, are there computer programs that will do this? Yes, there are, but if you don't have those computer programs, sometimes you got to go back to the old tried and true and snap your contour lines. Alright, now I'm lost. Oh, there we go. Gotta go up on this one. Now these all connect here on this side. So when I get all the way back to the beginning, before I hit that last point, I'm just going to hit C, enter, and it'll close it. Same with this one. C, enter, and then start this one. Got the same thing over here with 1015. It's going to be a complete shape. No, we didn't want help. And our last one right here. So it's not unusual to have the same elevation that's not connected on either side, because we may have a hill dividing it or a valley dividing the topographical conditions. There. Now all we need to do is select these and curve fit them. Probably a keystroke command that does this, but I haven't actually taken the time to look it up yet. It does do a good job of automating the curve fit operation on each line. You can imagine how difficult this would be to do if you had to try to curve fit these yourself. So what it's doing is finding an average curve between points, so that the line still passes through the points, but it just smooths everything up. Let's see, those are done. Last one. Thinks it is. Okay. So if we go look at my portrait now, there's my topo map. I set this thing again to 1 to 8 on the scale. Back to the model so we can zoom in. We still have our data points here. So if we go back to our model, we can actually turn off those data points now by just clicking this light bulb. Ooh. Somehow I must have put all my data points in my, so that's a problem. I will need to figure out. So, we'll try it this way. Select all those data points, put them in data. Now if I turn off data, there you go. It won't be quite as bad. These ones here will be a little more difficult. So if I click data, they should turn off. This tells me they're going into a frozen layer, but that's fine. Okay, so now I can turn on data or I can turn it off. I don't know what I was doing there, but screwed it up anyway. Now we come here, we just see our topo lines. So the next thing we're going to do is put some labels on here. So let's make sure I'm in my label level, my layer, and we're going to put some multi-line text in here. So we start out, if you look on your map, they start at 955. Huh, interesting. Missing. Screwed up some of these lines. Stuck them in data instead of there. You guys probably noticed that. Didn't say a word. Okay. So what I want to do is take this line and I want to change it to red, because it'll be a thicker line. 2, 4, or actually 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 needs to be red. And that's our 955 elevation. And then 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, this one will be our 980 elevation. And then we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This one will be our 1005. 10, 15, 20, 25. And there'd be a point in here. So I think that's enough. So these will be our major contours. These are our minor contours. We know that this one is going to have an elevation of 955. So we're going to go ahead and put that text in with our multi-line text. And probably the easiest way to do this, I'm going to go to my annotation, go to standard text. I'm going to set the height of this to, I think I'm going to say 12. Actually, yeah, let's say 12. Say apply, set current, and close. We're going to type in 955. Oops. I just left click on. You can see we can pull these arrows back. And now what I want to do is right click and go to properties. We're going to change this to a middle center justified. And we're going to put, if you look down, you see a background mask. I want to put a background mask on here using the background mask and the background color. So if we move this down into the line, we'll see that it will hide a portion of that line. Now what I want to do is copy this kind of sporadically spaced. One more over here. Now if I select this, you can go to your rotate tool. Oops, come on. What happened to that one? See if I can rotate this one. There we go. All I'm doing is just rotating these kind of in line with the contour. Had to turn off my snap. That one's good. This one, let's try rotate. RO. There we go. This one will pin this way. RO. Saves me moving the mouse all around. RO. Let's go take a look at our portrait screen. I think that'll be alright. I'm still going to turn those labels off afterwards. Now, we'll take this one and copy it down to here. And we just double click it, edit the text to say 930. Oops. Click on the screen, rotate that one just a little bit. Another one right there. RO. CO for copy. Move that one right up. Where'd you go? This one's 980. So we'll just edit this first. Double click it. AO. Click on the screen. And select it. CO for copy. Put one up here for later. Select it, RO. Do this one. This is 1005. $1,005. RO. And we'll copy this one. Oops. Just repeating the same steps over and over again. RO. Kind of click somewhere near the center of the line, that gives you a place to, keeps it centered on the line. I think the rest of that's good. So now I'm going to turn off, because when I look at this in the portrait mode, it looks like those are going to be kind of small to read based on my other text. So let's go back. Let's imagine that I need to, I'm going to turn off the view of my contours and my data. Select all of these pieces, right click and go to properties, and let's see, our text height shouldn't be 0.2. Let's try 1, or actually I think it's 0.5 was what I used. Change it. Yep. So now when I turn on my contours, go back to my portrait, these will show up much bigger. We're going to go to our title. There we go. This is going to be called, we'll call it TOPO Exercise 1. Change the date. Actually, today is March 2nd. Scale. Just put 1:8. Hit OK. Oops, forget the sheet number. We'll call it sheet number 3. The last thing we need to do is put a north arrow on here. Okay, go back to the model. Now I want to kind of use a fancy north arrow, so I'm going to go to my Internet Explorer, actually my Google Explorer, type in AutoCAD north arrow. Whoops. Bear with me a second, my network's off. The internet was turned off, so I'll give it a second. There it is. Connecting, connecting, connected. Alright. Back here, we're going to type in AutoCAD north arrow. Dum, dum, dum. Thinking. So, North Arrows library. I'm going to use this SecoNet. Now you don't want to get sucked in here, but let's say I want to use this fancy one right here. Architectural North Arrow. It says download. Don't get sucked into this because this wants you to download a zip extractor. You don't really need it. All you need to do is come down to the bottom and just say download DWG file. It will, you click on it, it should open right up. You want to select the entire thing, do a Control C, then go to your drawing and do a Control V. And I'm just going to place it right here. If I need to scale it, maybe I want to make it just a little bit smaller, I'll just hit my scale tool, specify a base point. Scale factor would be, say, 0.9. So it's going to make it a little bit smaller. If I go to my, and the other thing I want to do is change the color of this to, I'm going to put it in I'll put it in the layer 0. Actually, put it in a SecoNet layer all by itself. So we'll just change that color to cyan. Go back to our portrait, and there's our north arrow. If I do a print or a file, let me just do a print. Set up to Adobe, we'll say preview. It's got my pen table attached, so if we actually zoom in on this, we see our line weights, the differences between the two. Our north arrow looks good. Picking up a red around this area, which is different. So cancel that. It appears that my viewport maybe. Let's do an export. It's probably okay, but I just want to check it. Export to PDF files, desktop, lab work. Just call it TOPO map. And I've already got one, I'll just replace it. Usually opens up. Close this out. Actually, TOPO map. It's not the right one. And then my north arrow. Maybe it wouldn't overwrite it. Let me try it again. File, export, PDF. Sure. CO1 intent. TOPO map 2. I think sometimes it just doesn't like to overwrite other drawings, so let's just see if I've got a. There it is. Now it's got my north arrow. Still picking up that funky little red line, which seems to follow my viewport for some reason, so that must be in a different color. But this is basically what you're looking to do, is create this TOPO map, and I won't hold you up anymore. So that is, you're going to print this out, turn it in for homework as soon as you get back from break, get off the beach, do whatever you're doing, and get back to work. So this is it. Thanks.